Happy Wednesday. So Valerie Hunt here with RunRx, here to answer your questions on my Ask Me Anything About Running. I go live every Wednesday and I get comments and feedback from you guys, and then I try to find what is the most common thing I'm hearing the most of to try to talk about. So this week I really wanted to talk about something we have that we've been offering for you guys. Well, two things. One is we hope you've taken the free quiz on the website, and especially, you know, the RunRx is, we're about running pain-free, right? That's my whole thing. And to get there, to run pain-free, you've got to do skill, strength, and self-care. So people will be like, what's that one stretch? Well, if there was that one stretch, I promise I'd give it to you. So what I did instead is I took 30 days, 30 practices, and they're all like 2 to 5 minutes. That's it. And you do one a day, and you can add on. You can do yesterday's and then put today's on. I've had people say, look, I did all 30 at one time. Great, go for it. The idea is to you to understand a couple of things. One is, it's one thing to go do a stretch or one thing to do one day of practice, but let's all be very honest with ourselves. The only thing that truly works is consistent practice. So I tried it that one time, or yeah, I stretched that one day. Your body's like, okay. It's what I do really almost every day that my body's going to see more results from, right? So please be patient with yourself and with your progress and your practice, especially if you're coming in with an injury. So for example, what we're going to talk about today, and of course we will do a physical practice, but what we will talk about first is some of you are taking the program or trying the one day, the 2 to 3 minutes, and then one guy told me, I went out and tried to run my same 5-mile run, I still had that same pain. Really? Well, okay, you did 5 minutes of practice, and then you went and ran 5 miles on an injury. Well, you're kind of asking for it, right? So please think about it. If I'm already injured, does it make more sense to continue running? Or say I missed the time I wanted to get. I really wanted to run this 10K in an hour, but instead it took me an hour and 15 minutes. And maybe it wasn't pain, but maybe you felt like, oh, my legs were so heavy. I know I'd put in the training. So for some people, I just want to say, your body will continue to amaze you if you let it. And what I mean by that is we want this end goal, right? Whether it's just running pain-free, which to me is number one, or I want to finish the race in a certain amount of time, or I want to run a certain amount of distance. We have to first think about what it is we're doing with our running. What is running? What is running? Running, by definition, is free falling from the running pose. So falling from the running pose and pulling to get right back in the pose. What we all think we're doing when we run is we're thinking about what's called the flight phase of running. And in the flight phase of running, both feet are in the air. You're flying. And in that moment is when your body actually gets to do the traveling. Because when I'm here, I'm on the ground. If I take my foot out here, I'm still on the ground. So will my body eventually get there? Sure, but it's going to take a lot of work because I got to take my back foot and push. So I'm pushing into the ground to try to throw my body weight forward, putting all the weight on this foot, right? So if I really want to travel, I've got to free fall, pull my foot, and the distance I traveled was my stride length. So some of these things are byproducts. So some people are out there trying to run these extra miles because in their mind they think I'm going to get faster, I'm going to increase my stride length. When in reality, if I keep repeating the same incorrect movement, then really what are you doing? You're just kind of continuing a pattern that doesn't make sense. Now I've switched my mind. So I did my day one practice and I went out there and I was like, all right, I got it. I'm going to pull. And this is what very common is we start to try to do the action because we're action oriented. So if I say to you, I want you to go run 5 miles and you just did my day one of practice and you learned this pulling action, then I know, because I did the same thing, I promise. You'll go out, you're like, all right, I got this. I'm going to start pulling. So then you're like, I'm pulling. Woo, I'm tired, but I'm pulling. And then you come back and you say, hey, Valerie, I went out and did that pulling thing. Now I'm fatigued, I ran slower than I normally run, and I have different weird soreness. Usually it's calf or hamstring. That's the feedback I get. And so then I say, let's see if I have a question. You guys are welcome. Hey, Diogo. Hey, Mike. Hey, Karina. It's fun to see people. You can ask a question. I'll come over and check. But think about if my thought process is I've got to go run this 5 miles, knowing full well that when you're running it doesn't feel good, then please don't continue the run. Same with taking something I tell you. I'm trying to help you, like the reason we did 30 days is to give you 30 days to practice. And if I'm practicing for 30 days, I'm going to be better than I was 30 days ago. Do I still have more room to grow? Yeah. So here's the short answer to that. How about if instead of taking your brand new run and thinking, I got to go out and get my 5 miles, I'm just using 5. You could be at 1 mile, 3 miles. I'm just giving you an easy number. Instead of thinking, I have to go run for that distance, how about instead think, I'm going to go out and practice my new running until it becomes natural. I'm going to practice. Maybe it takes you, I don't know, 45 minutes to run that 5 miles normally. I don't know, 45 minutes, 50, whatever it takes you. Just say, you know what, I'm going to still go out for the same 45 or 50 minutes, but instead, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pick one of the drills she has on there, one of the skill exercises or elasticity drills. We'll do that today. And then I'm going to just run as far as I feel that drill. Maybe it's 10 steps. Maybe it's 20. I don't know, but let that be it. And then when you get to the end of that, go, okay, all right, that was interesting. Rest a second. Do another drill. Take off and run for a second. That's how you develop your skill. It's called skill drills. And then you add a little mini interval of running. What happens is you develop, oh my gosh, it's amazing. But you develop skill, you develop strength, you develop elasticity, and you develop more than anything else an awareness and a connection with yourself and your body weight. So one of the things to keep in mind is if I have never in my life thought about running in the sense of I'm thinking of it now as literally using gravity, number one, because the only way we travel is we have to get off the ground. So there's 2 ways to get off the ground, right? One is to jump. So anybody that's out there and they're a jumper, this is a different feel. So let's say we wanted to jump, which is fine. Then everybody just do a big jump. Just see how high you get. Go, jump, all right? There, we all jumped. In order to really effectively jump, we had to almost extend our knees. We're pressing into the ground. And which direction are we trying to go when we jump? Up. Well, in running, do we want to go up? Not really, unless you're running up a hill. We want to go where? That way. So if I take my back foot and I start pushing, I will move forward eventually, but first I'm going to go up and down. So it's a very inefficient way to travel. And if I tried to do that for 5 miles, my calves, my hamstrings, probably my lower back would be really tired. So this is the difference between push and pull, is you have to let go of any kind of pressure into the ground. So we're going to do today a ball foot hop, which is the foundation of the run. And I've had people reach out. Sore calves has been a big one. Tight hips is another one. And just the main thing was that I keep hearing is, you know, I'm pulling. However, I am feeling like it's too much work. That's just kind of the way to feel it. So and if it feels like work, it's because you're working against gravity instead of with it. So let's just hop for a second. So just bend your knees and just a small little hop. This is called an elasticity hop. So let me just say this as well. I'm barely leaving the ground. So like I do a lot of jump roping in my life. So if I'm gonna do a bigger hop, what will that do for me? Well, it'll give me more elasticity, but which direction did I just go? Up. You see, more pushing. So pushing is great to develop elasticity and to feel bouncy. And then I have to let go of that bouncy feeling to travel forward. So the hop is about not trying to jump, but still use elasticity. So yes, I'm still going up and down, much less. So barely leave the ground, okay? So now all I'm going to ask you to do is see if you can hop on one foot. Now switch it. Very light and low. Now singles. Up, 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 up. you see it's still a little bit bouncy. Why? Because we're not going anywhere. So if it's feeling bouncy in my run, or I'm feeling tension in my calves or hamstrings while I'm running, then that's your first cue to think, wait a minute, I'm feeling very bouncy, my calves are really fatigued, let me pause to take that bounce out. Or maybe you can correct it as you're running. But let's all agree that in place, you might feel a little bouncy, but please let's not feel that way in our run. So we'll talk about why, okay? But being on the ball of foot to do ball of foot hops is helping you sense where the ground is and when to pull, right? And where's my body weight? On the ball of my foot, right? So now, pulling in place. Running is just simply changing support. I'm on one foot, now I'm on the other, right? But I'm not going anywhere yet. This is where the fall element comes in. And one of the reasons that we get frustrated when we go out for a run and we blame everything on the weather, the shoes, the outfit, what I ate. I hear that a lot. It must have been what I've eaten. It must have been this. It must have been that. We place so much blame on these things for our own running. And I'm like, no, I bet you just haven't spent a lot of time developing your relationship with gravity. And especially if I'm only focused on my mileage or my heart rate or what I'm, all these external things. Not that the heart rate's a bad thing, but when I'm running, if I focus on running, then you'll realize everything else is happening because of that, right? So that is this is in that 30 days, this forward and back feeling. So then you go for a run. So let's try this. We're going to try to fall forward for our run. We're just going to pull in place. Hopefully you have a little bit of space. You see I don't have much. But I want you to sense, I have this line here. And falling is literally like what it sounds. Gravity acts on your center of mass, which is here. But you have to move as one unit. Ears, shoulders, hips, ankles, all connected. So when you fall, your whole body's going. There it goes. Oh! Feel? Has to be quick. I don't have time to think about it. Let's do a few where we think about it, and then I'll go a little faster. So I've got both feet on the ground. You don't have to draw a line, but have an imaginary line. Let your body fall over that line. Just let go. Fall. Now pull. And you see, you're always going to end up, your feet will follow you. If my feet are following me, keeping up with me, that's half my body weight. Isn't that nice? Rather than 3 times my body weight if I reach. So if I go to fall, ready? Fall, pull. It's a quick, elastic pull. My thought was correct, but remember, it has to be pose, fall, pull. So you have to fall first to pull. That's really important. So now, if you're watching, just watch one time. If you're doing this, don't do this, but you can hear it. So let's say I do the same thing, but instead of pulling, I reach. What happened? Lots of weight forward, okay? So most people, when they run, that's what they do. They go reach, 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 right? We don't want to do that. So I practice, here I am now in the running pose, and I practice the same exact thing. Just fall, pull. One job, right? One job, because falling isn't an action, gravity's already here. So I have one job. But remember, in order to do my job, I have to be able to, 1, hold the running pose, and 2, understand what is the pull. So please make sure when you go through the 30 days, it's not I did it, I'm done, move on. The idea was for you guys to have a complete plan, especially day 1, that actually teaches not just the pose, but also the pull and how to practice the fall. So then you switch when you go running, have a day of practice, right? Go out and do some of these drills and feel it. And instead of thinking I have to run for a distance, just run until you don't feel it anymore. So like for me in the beginning, to be really honest, I would run like little steps of 3. I'd be like, fall, up, 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 fall. And then I got to where I could keep falling, up, 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 up. You see, like you have to get to that feel, but recognize if it's not feeling good, I really shouldn't keep continuing. That's important. Hey. Oh, so we must feel elastic but not bouncy. Correct. So yes, and that's, and so we make sure that we understand that. We're redirecting our body weight forward. That's the fall, right? So when I fall, my body weight goes forward and my foot pulls up. In place, I'm going to be a little bouncy because I'm in place. But the reality is, this falling is happening. So if I pull from here, what you'll sense, you see that it's not a bounce in the foot. So this is bouncing, and then when I'm falling, I'm still using elasticity, but the foot itself, it feels like a little tap. When you guys are running, what the sensation is, your foot touches and you respond by that little pull. And if you would talk to people that, run a lot faster maybe, or a lot, in the front of the pack, if you will, most of them, will say probably, they have a running rhythm, because they've gotten so good at their timing. So when they run, they have this natural metronome of just, you can watch it because you can see how they run in groups. In the front of the race of any marathon, I'm just going with distance running, how it used to be. You see the lead, they stay in a pack and they all look almost exactly the same. Watch any elites in the marathon and you see the pull, right? Maybe they have some ankle tension, whatever, but in general, everyone's kind of in that same rhythm. And then as a unit, they will literally start to increase their fall. But what you're seeing is just, if you watch that last race, that half marathon world record, 2 guys ran, like 4 people broke the 2 hour, or 1 hour, excuse me, the 1 hour in the half marathon. And at the end, they're just pulling so well. And I watch stuff like that. Watch when they do that. You don't see any vertical oscillation, but boy, do you see those feet pull really quick. So they're not feeling bouncy. However, the pull itself feels light and quick. So I know that's a bit of that's the part of that adaptation period. I need to be bouncy. I need to develop my elasticity, and I have to develop that by bouncing. But when you guys run, just know the sensation is a tap. Tap, 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 tap feeling. Just like a quick tap, 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 tap. This feeling is what you're feeling. So that's why that's so much in the drill practice, is the quicker you can change support, the quicker you're off the ground and the quicker you're traveling forward. So when you start to think about that, and this is why people like to use jump rope as a way to develop that elasticity, but I promise you guys, all of that's there for you. What you have to play with the most is that fall aspect. So make sure both of those are in your practice, and then you'll feel that lighter sensation. When is my next clinic? If you look above, we try to do them every quarter, by the way. Hopefully, again, things will be opening up. Otherwise, you're always welcome to come in. Like I said, we have those free things for you. We've got the quiz, so if you're hurting, take the quiz. It has on there knee pain, shin pain, calf pain, and basically what I've done is gone through and given you a specific tip that's really generally why you're feeling that specific pain for you to go and practice. So I highly recommend doing that. And then of course we have the 30 days on the YouTube. Go through it. Go through it again. Some of those are to do a lot, like day 1 and ball foot hops. Keep the ones that you'll use. And then of course, lastly, I would love to see you and see your run and see your drills and correct you live. So we always have the option of that. We have the Runner X Strong membership. You come in and that's what happens. You send me your run. We do interactive video, Zoom. So it's like a clinic, and that's the best way to progress, when we can communicate and you can get feedback specifically for you, right? All right, all that's for you, but I'll be back next Wednesday. So keep the comments going. Like, the conversation's so good. I love the questions. And if I didn't say something or answer, just post it in these comments, and I promise every week I'm going to get to something. All right? Have a great day, guys. Thank you so much.